Welcome to the Exchange Place, the home for healing.
Welcome back to the Exchange Place podcast, y'all. Hey, y'all. I am your host, Deborah Faith, and who we got in the building but Amber Juice Girl Dixon.
It's me again.
It's you again. Welcome back to season 3. I missed y'all. That's all I can say, right? It's been a minute. It's been too long, shall I say?
But we were evolving.
We were evolving. You know the funny thing about evolution, though? You actually got to do it.
Yep.
You actually got to do it.
Facts.
And growth is not easy.
No, it's not.
Not at all.
It's painful, but good.
It's growing pains. And we had I'm going to talk about me. I had a lot of them.
Oh. I know you personally, so yeah.
I had a lot of them. But it's been good growth.
Yeah.
As you guys can see, we are in a new space.
Yes. Shout out.
Shout out to Carrie Studio.
Listen,
Carrie Studio.
beautiful experience from top to bottom. Love it. I feel good here.
New space, new place. This season is the season of restoration. This season, if I'm honest, was a very hard season for me to start. I had in my head since we started the podcast, we have that Kaizen model. We do continuous improvement. But I honestly had a hard time with restoration. I was like, what is that going to look like? But God has been giving me what that's going to look like.
Oh, yes.
And it is us really taking back the things that not only that we lost, I feel like, but have been lost generation to generation. And tonight we talking about something that I really think that we need to get into. Why is the sigh?
That's all good.
So, for those of you guys who are new here and those who are oldies but goodies, we're always talking about relationships in one form of fashion.
Oh, my favorite thing in the world.
Listen, relationships are currency.
Yeah, it is.
They are literally worth more than money. And what I find is the one thing that I feel like we don't think about is that on your deathbed, you never ask for the cars that you loved. You never ask for your home. Like, I wish I was in my home. You normally ask for people.
Don't have a sense of peace until you see certain people.
Listen.
Okay.
So I wanted to talk about friendships, and I really wanted to.
Always a lovely topic for myself.
It's a lovely topic for you.
Always a lovely topic for me.
I think you got some gems today about that. Yeah, but I wanted to talk about friendship and really the formation of friendships. I feel like there are, friendships is not a new concept.
No.
If we're honest, right? We've had friends since we were younger. However, I feel like the actual us doing the due diligence of what type of friends we allow in our lives and really looking at those friendships and putting them into, I don't want to say boxes, but I will say perspective, and I'll also say categories.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
Because sometimes
one thing about Amber, I'm going to compartmentalize you.
Well, everybody doesn't do that, though.
No, I have to.
Yeah. So let's talk about friendship formations tonight, and let's kind of walk people through what that actually looks like in our lives so we can help them get some tools and tips and do some inventory.
Do not try this at home.
I'm
joking. Do try it at home.
Well, try it at home.
I think I've matured in that area a lot.
Tell me how.
Oh, man. So, where I say I have matured, especially in friendships, is because, first of all, I had to dissect what I need opposed to just who was around. And what I want opposed to just who's available.
So that's good. So what does that
because,
look like?
I would say, people are always going to be around, right? I think especially my life has looked so different. I built a business in the past almost 6 years. Shout out to BFIT and Focus, your favorite local juice bar.
Hey.
But I've built a business almost over 5 years ago. This is going into year 6. I definitely evolved into a different person, and as a result, it introduced me to people. When you're winning, you attract people who want to win. You attract people who want to be attached to your wins. You attract people who just want to be around, people who want to get in a little closer, people who want to not see you do well. All types of energy is attracted when it pertains to success. And what I learned in friendships is that everybody who's just there isn't there. You can be there and not present, if that makes sense. So meaning that I've gone through a lot of things, rocky roads in my life, and what determines that are the people who stay, the people who are willing to navigate that, the people who can accept your seasonal growth. Because I think I'm forever changing, whether that be good or bad. I would say some years ago, I don't think I was in the best space of my life, maybe success-wise, business-wise, but internally I wasn't in a great place. But when you outgrow those bad habits, who's coming along with that? Because some people benefit from those areas. You know what I'm saying? So
Gotcha.
what I say is, you can have people around, but are those the people that you need? Are those the people that you want? Are those the people who can sustain like your long-term periods?
Yeah.
I think I've grown in that area because before I remember I read a meme. It's like, before I used to love the people who love me. Before I used to love the people I love, now I love the people who love me. And that's important to me because it's like I'm not pouring into every situation anymore. I'm able to be emotionally intelligent to say like, hey, you may be more of a person that is business focused, maybe more of a spiritual person, but I won't entrust you with like my innermost feelings or things that are personal. I definitely categorize my friends. There are friends I trust more with certain feelings than I trust with others. There are friends I may talk about my romantic life with, people that I don't talk to because I might feel a sense of judgment there. And that doesn't mean they're a bad person. It's just that means that they're not that friend for me for that.
So how do you characterize those relationships? Like, do you have, I know for me, first of all, I'm in a season of life where I literally pray people into my life.
Yeah.
In all aspects, right? So as it relates to business, personal, my inner circle is kind of what you talked about. I kind of have those steps of, hey, where I place people. I can be, and you know this, I am great with being friendly with people, loving on people. But also, there's a boundary of what level
Who's
of
close?
friendship.
Who can come home?
Yeah, who as I always say,
Child, nobody going to that house.
You can't come home with me. You can't come home with me.
Right.
But those are my associates.
Yeah.
Meaning, I may love what they do. I may love them as a person. They're just not somebody who I trust, right? And one of my mentors says this is that relationships go as fast as trust does, right? So you kind of spoke about trust and trusting people and being able to, allow people into those spaces where you will expose flaws, right? Or expose certain things about yourself that you feel like maybe other people don't have the level of capacity to even hold that, right? So what do your buckets look like for you? Like, you have, of course, business ships, I'm assuming, right? People you work with, people you love. What other categories?
I think I really base
have?
friendship, so I'm constantly evaluating friendships. I'm not going to say I've never, that's a very strong word, never. Before, if I compare myself to who I was to who I am now, I definitely was maybe like for history, for time and stuff like that, but time is not quality to me. I definitely look at the quality of my friendships, like how are we showing up for one another. Reciprocity is a big thing for me, and when I say reciprocity, I don't mean like tit for tat. I mean need for need, want for want, space for space, understanding for understanding. And I know that it's kind of like, I think in a lot of my relationships, I'm more looking at me than I'm looking at the other person, right? So like I've had friendships where, and before I used to be like, I'm cutting you off or I'm blocking you or I'm not this and I'm not that. I definitely think I've evolved from that space, mainly because I just see people exactly for who you are. And even if it does hurt me, I'm able to assess and say, hey, you know what? Like, probably in that season we connected more, but in this season we don't. But even I've gotten to a place that I don't want just season. I want overall. Like, I don't even speak season like that no more. Like, I don't want to just be like, season, in this season and that season. No, my life needs Like, you get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
This is what my life needs. And sometimes during life, those things will change. But I've had friends that, listen, man. So a big thing for me in friendship is balance, right?
What does that look like?
Oh man, I'm a mom. I'm a full-time entrepreneur. Just added a new career space where I'm working for a sheriff's department. So like I have a lot of hats that I wear. I'm a friend, I'm a sister, mom, aunt, all of that stuff. But
Different roles.
I feel that I'm very great at balancing that. Like, you get what I'm saying? Even in my dating life. I've had friends who, once they're dating, that's it. That's what they're locked into. They can't see anything outside of those spaces or whatever. And I know I need friends who are there for balance, because you may be benefiting from my level of balance, but on the other end, it's like when I kind of need you, you're kind of like, you know, off somewhere else.
Gotcha.
And I really need people who can balance. I need multifaceted friends.
Layers.
Yeah, I need layers. I can't just, like, as much as I can compartmentalize, you got to be good for more than one thing. For me to say friend. Friend means we're multifaceted. We could pray for each other. We could talk to each other about things that are, like, sincere. I need spiritual friends. I personally can't see myself being friends with people who may not share, like, beliefs in certain areas for me, because not saying that I don't respect how you feel or respect your path, but we may not be able to kind of meet in the middle there. So it's just like, I just need multifaceted friends. So unless like you are that for me, I know people who I can depend on. I know people who I can't depend on. I know people who they stick to the plan. Some people are flaky. I know all of those people, and I know how to assess them or whatever. But if I kind of feel like you're not up to par, I'm okay with making adjustments. I adjust. I don't always announce. If that makes sense.
It does.
I will adjust. And you will see differences in the way that I show up for you opposed to how you show up for me. But I don't think it has to be done with malice or unkindness in a way, but it's just kind of like being clear. It's just really being clear, locating who's around you, and assessing your needs. Like, what do I need as a friend? I don't think I'm a needy friend, but I do know I need people who can listen to me, like people who can put me on. I could put them on. You know what I'm saying? It's a lot of layers to that.
I love that, because I don't think most people do that. I think a lot of people, we get introduced what I call associates. We have a commonality in some sort of place. It's kind of like, not even convenience, but say I'm a mom, you know, I have boys that play basketball, all of the basketball moms. So every week we're at, you know, the same games and all of that. So kind of, again, we have that commonality, but we may not relate in other areas. And sometimes those relationships can get misconstrued for really close relationships, right? And not that some of them don't turn into that, because I've had that happen. But I don't know that most people are assessing what they need from a friend. It's just like, oh, they're cool. Okay, you cool, but I could get brunch and, you know, and some chicken wings with anybody.
Yeah.
I'm not trying to be funny.
No.
What do you bring? The thing I want the listeners to think about, and this is something someone asked me.
And if y'all see me, I'll hang with the same people.
I want them
but that's not because you remain the same.
But I want them to think about this, like, and I always ask my kids this in a form of fashion, but somebody asked me in a different aspect, like, when people get you as a friend, what do they get?
Oh yeah, and I definitely want to say that I add value. And again, all value is not created equal. We all have value. That doesn't mean we're valuable to who we are around, right? I would like to say that I make sure that I add value. I assess not only who the friend is, how am I being a friend to you? Can I be your friend? Like, you know what I'm saying?
Do I bring anything?
Can I relate to you? Like, there are people that I just have reached places like, I'm like, I just can't relate, or it might be too bratty for me. It might be too annoying for me. It may not be the negativity. It could just be so many things that make me like, I don't think I will be your best catch here, your best suitable to be your friend. You may require me, like, sometimes I'm a Pisces, y'all. Oh, shout out to Pisces season though. But like, I'm Pisces. I could be a hermit sometimes. I could be super outgoing. I could be extroverted. I could be introverted. Like sometimes my own behavior confuses me and other people around me. So
You getting on your own nerves.
I do get on my own nerves. I'm sorry. It could go from 0 to 100 real quick.
Yeah.
But like, I look at myself, my own moods and stuff like that. Like, even, it's crazy. As I've gotten older, I hate crowds. Hate them. And anybody who knows me would never think that because I'm always loud and fun and happy and all of that stuff. But I don't know, maybe it was COVID or something like that. I have reached a place that crowds make me extremely anxious. It makes me very jittery. If I know we're going to a space that requires a lot of people, I'm more than likely not interested. I don't even like going out too much on weekends like that. I prefer to do things during the weekday where there's less traffic, there's less people. I prefer more intimate experiences. My birthday just recently passed. I really did things that were close to me. I can always have a party. I know enough people to bring a bunch of people. But that doesn't make me happy because it's the quality of the people who are around. Of course, everybody would love to be at a party and drinking and having fun and whatever, and like, oh, this is a party, but that wouldn't make me happy. What makes me happy is quality. This year, so typically, I plan my own birthday every year. I'm like, okay, guys, this is what we're doing. Everybody settle up, blah, 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 blah. But this year, I made a decision, and I said, I'm not going to do too much that's like, kind of holding everybody to these plans, because last year I had a beautiful 35th birthday where we stayed in a cabin. I had most of my closest friends there. But this year I took a back seat and I said, you know what? Whatever everybody wants to do for me, this birthday, I'll be satisfied. And that doesn't mean that I tested everybody. It's just that whatever anyone wanted to do for me to celebrate me, I was open to that. But I did not have any interest whatsoever with gathering people, getting everybody together and stuff like that. Because I've always kind of felt like that with my birthday. I don't like.
Do you feel like, sorry to cut you off, but do you feel like is that the season that you're in, or is that just where you are in the?
Well, here's the thing. Like, I know 2 years ago, right? I had my birthday brings a lot of crazy. But I remember, first of all, I'm not in a space where I mix too many personalities anymore, just because it gets a little confusing for me. I mean, I think I'm very clear with all of my friends of my expectations. You don't have to be anybody's bestie, but just everybody always show love and respect. That's all I only ask my friends. Listen, you don't have to take this person home with you, but just be polite or whatever. So for the most part, I think for all of my friends we all have that understanding. We're mature or whatever. But I don't know if it's necessarily the season, but I do know that my birthday has always been pretty sacred to me. I don't celebrate my birthday with a lot of people. I can't tell you the last time I had an actual big party. Probably not since I was a kid. Like, I don't have parties. I always do like an intimate dinner or something like close-knit based on who is around me in the moment. So this year, though, I think maybe the season that I'm in is like less control. And just more acceptance of everything.
Of who's in your life.
Yeah. And let me tell you, my birthday was absolutely beautiful. Everybody loved on me, including you. All of my friends loved on me, and they gave me a quality, birthday. I missed nothing. My family ended up not feeling so well, but they even came back and ended up planning a beautiful dinner for me. So it was nice, and it kind of like reflected what I give to people. You know what I'm saying? And it kind of almost reassured me in a way that I have the right crop.
Well, I think it's a reflection of the selection, first and foremost, right?
And everybody can hang with me. It's the bottom line.
Yeah, but it's who you...
VIP, baby.
It's also who you pick, right? I don't think in friendships we really think about that as much. I think it is becoming, the more
friendships are just as important as family.
Well, friendships are family.
It's the friends so with our family, we can't choose them. Friends we choose. Like, there are family members that if I had to choose them as friends, absolutely not. I don't like you. You're crazy.
But I don't think we take our power in the friendship area.
And friendships can hurt you. They could break your heart just as much as the love of your life.
I was about to say, relationships in general. I don't think just friendships. I think business ships. Like I said,
all of those things.
Relationships are currency. Like they are literally the thing that makes this world go round.
Right.
Like, you're gonna. I always say, my mentor says to me that the biggest blessings will walk into your life on two legs, and for some people four, because I know people love pets. I know you love pets, but the people who really, you know, and the thing that really changes your life will never be money.
Right.
It will be people. And the selection of that, I just want, as the listeners are listening, to really start thinking about and doing kind of where we're going into spring. And I'm not saying block nobody. I'm not saying get rid of people.
Oh, no.
But
Adjust,
I would
though.
say, not even adjust. I think assess. I don't
Assess and
know
adjust.
that we go back and assess relationships, right?
And it's no different. Think about your job. Like, every year you get a performance review if you're not supposed to, right?
Yeah,
Just
you
to see
should.
like where you came to where you are now.
Where you are.
In my personal experience, like, I know that there's probably a friend or two that I've definitely made adjustments with. They see it too, and because they actually recently called me out on it. Which is okay. Like, you get
That's
what I'm
fine.
saying? Because, and I'm ready to talk about where, like, you know, some things, like, and this is my own wisdom, like, everything is not meant for immediate addressing. Sometimes you do need to reassess, take value, like, and sometimes pull yourself out of it. Because I've been known to extend a lot of olive branches, like, where it's like, okay, let me give this another chance. Let me give this another chance. But then start seeing that it's always me giving the chance. So sometimes you have to take a step back and say, like, hey, is this person mutually interested on this being a well-balanced relationship? Or is this just me wanting that person around so much that I'm going to do everything I can to manipulate myself into a good space with that person?
Gotcha.
So I had to learn that, hey, sometimes it's okay to pull back and not fall back and block or nothing like that.
No,
But it's
and not
just,
in a negative
it's
way.
just like saying, like, hey, with any relationship, it really takes more than one person for it to go
takes
well.
both.
It takes both people. It can't just be you pouring in I. Yeah, like, I do have friends. Like, it's so funny because in most of my life, I've always been the friend who overextends, overgives, always do that. And I'm very fortunate. I always laugh and say, like, Dia and Deb, like, kind of like baby me in a sense, only because, like, but also too, you know, it's gonna be reciprocation.
Yeah,
too, where
there's reciprocity.
like, where I'm gonna come in and swoop in and, like, hey, Deb, let me take over this for you or whatever. But, like, I'm finally reaching a point even now that I'm able to relax in my own friendships without feeling like I need to take the lead, make the plan, do the this, do the that. And
It's
sometimes
that
I'll
part.
be laughing because you even said that before. Like, sometimes when you are so used to being that person and then you get that person, you kind of chill too much. But, you know, I've said to you, there's been plenty of times I'll be like, Deb, do you feel like I give you enough in our friendship? Do you feel like
You have asked-
good?
you
I
have
ask
asked
because,
me
like,
that.
I mean, and guess what? I'm prepared for the answer either way, because the only thing that I'm going to do is say, okay, I'm not gonna just go to offense mode. I really, the reason why I'm
Because
asking,
you value the friendship.
I value
at
the friendship enough to know that if there's any way that I can support you more, or there's something that I can do to help make your life easier, then I'm gonna step up and do it, because I know in retrospect you would do the same thing for me.
But I think that is one of the characteristics of a really good friend. And I was even laughing.
And y'all, it don't always be peaches and roses with us. We be beefing.
No,
It's
not beef.
It's
but
not beef. Conflict.
It's conflict. Conflict is
Yeah.
the tester of relationships. You said something funny to me coming here, like, oh, and you were telling me about somebody. Oh, I finally had a first argument with somebody or whatever.
Oh, it
and
was
I was
beautiful.
like,
It was a beautiful
what
thing.
was my response? I was like, good.
How was it?
Right?
I was like, we good. We have worked through that. But,
Because
you know.
I really think that
That's what's the
good
tester.
relationships aren't really good relationships until it's tested with conflict.
Yeah.
Until you have
Definitely.
conflicts
Oh, I
and
can
you
relate
guys
to
can
that.
resolve that, it is
Yeah.
not, for me, I'll say it to me, it's not a good relationship. Because
Right.
if we always having a good time, then what happens when life happens?
So I was recently tested like that with a very close friend. Something really bothered me with that close friend.
Yeah.
And in that moment, like, old me would have melted, went home, punched, did crazy.
Yeah.
You know what
Put
I'm
up
saying?
walls,
put a
all that
wall.
kind of stuff.
But in that moment that I felt uncomfortable, and over days, I made it clear with the friend how I felt. Like, you know, moving forward, like, this is important to me in the friendship, like that, because I know in retrospect, if you were put in the same situation, I wouldn't leave out information for you. I wouldn't make
Just
you,
do
you know,
that
like
same
I would
thing,
do
yeah.
my due diligence as a friend. Like, you get what I'm saying? So, but guess what? I want to say in my heart of hearts, I don't think the person intentionally was doing it.
Yeah.
And I even had to assess myself and like find that level of forgiveness and find that level of grace, because I do value the actual friendship overall.
I love that.
So for me, and that's why I was like, oh, I know I'm evolving, because child, I done cut people off the list. But you know, like, I knew in those moments that that's where my evolution came from, because there are moments that I felt from grace I may have not made. In order to judge, you have to critique. And when I say that, it's like meaning more so inwardly. Like, there are moments that I've offended people. I've offended you in moments that I didn't know that I was being offensive. That wasn't my intention, but it doesn't take away from the offense.
Yeah.
So like, I think that does happen, like where I haven't been my best self, or in moments, or where it could have been misprojected, or you know what I'm saying, or misplaced feelings, but it wasn't intentional. But it's still important if you care about the person. And the person was apologetic to me about it, and I do feel like even now it kind of almost strengthened the relationship in a manner, because it kind of opened their eyes of the level of importance of how I am to them in their lives. Like, you get what I'm saying?
I love that though.
I do feel like conflict sometimes can build more character and can make situations stronger.
Yeah, I mean, it tests at the end of the day.
And we laugh and joke all day, every
relationship.
day, but that was a moment of, whoa, let's talk about this. Like, this is different. Like,
but having, and I think that's a good point, is like having those conversations, right? There are relationships that have ended for conversations that were not had, and I think we need to think about that. Like, when there is a place to have that conversation instead of just ending it, because there's relationships in my life that I just was like, just forget it, I'll walk away.
And there are relationships that honestly I did have conversations, but that they were not trying to understand, because like, even with having the conversation, it didn't end in the favor in which they felt was best. So now it went on with a new narrative, but I don't feel responsible for that. I just feel responsible for making sure that I communicated where I was, how I felt, because everything unfortunately doesn't have a happy ending. But again, if you value the relationship, or you're like, hey, you know what, this could come along with me long term, or hey, maybe I need to make a few adjustments here, but this can still work. I think that's just, it's life.
I want to challenge the listeners to do some inventory, and I want to call it spring cleaning.
Oh, definitely.
we're rocking and rolling. Season 3. We are rolling into the season of restoration, and I think there are relationships that can be restored, like what you said. But I also think that there are, just like in your closet, there are some things that you had that you know you will not fit ever again.
Yeah,
I don't know who needs to hear this.
Shout out to me.
But you will never be able to get in them jeans, sis. Bro, that shirt is not going to fit you ever again. And those are people. And we have them in our closets. We have them and say, oh, I knew you for, since I was second grade, and y'all have nothing to talk about but the past. So I want to challenge the people as they listen. And this will be a series, y'all, because we're going to talk about friendship maintenance down the line. The next episode.
Make sure you talk about new friends.
We're going to talk about new friends. That's probably going to be episode 4.
Yeah. Because before we go, what I would like to see you address on your show is like, why we have more enthusiasm for new people opposed to the people that we're setting, meaning like, why don't we make as much investment into the people or maintenance towards our people that we're comfortable with? So I'd love to see you talk about that. I think
we could talk about that. I have an answer, but I'm not going to answer it now because
we
gotta leave it with a little something. But we are so happy that you guys are back, right? I love this space. We have a new space. You will be seeing so much more of here. And we also have some other things that we're introducing. We have Therapy Thursday coming. We have Coach's Corner. I'm a certified coach now, y'all. So I'm bringing some of my coaches on. And then we, of course, got asking for a friend, because I got to bring the friends of the show in, and we need to talk. But we love you until next week.
Yes,
we'll see y'all later.
Absolutely.
That brings us to the end of our time together for now. If you enjoy our show, please follow, subscribe, and share. Till we meet again, keep healing, one piece at a time.